What's good, people? Indigo Jones here to talk to y'all about some shit that's been on my mind for the past 4, 5 years. And that's this goddamn money in politics. Now, there are two instances that I want to talk of specifically. 1976 court case of Buckley versus Vallejo, and the 1978 court case of the First National Bank of Boston versus Belletti. So, without further ado, let's start this like we always do and get this shit started. Yeah. Yes. Now, about the first one, Buckley versus Vallejo. See, the story goes, in 1974, the United States Congress decided to pass an act, the Federal Elections Commissions Act. This act was created in order to prevent the corruption of our political system. It would put a cap on donations for both the people and also make it so that corporations couldn't give an unlimited amount of money and take advantage of their spending power. Senator Buckley didn't like this. See, because he was a senator, which means that he was a politician, which means that less money to be able to be contributed to a politician means less money in a politician's pocket. And he didn't want less money in his pocket. See, because he didn't take the job because he wanted to represent the American people. He took the job the reason most people take jobs, because he wanted the money. Which I don't judge him for at all. Most people get jobs and don't earn a living. Most people don't follow their passions or their dreams. Nigga, please. That's a luxury for those who have either the money or the balls to risk it all. Buckley wasn't one of those men. But he was a man who liked money. So when he heard that they were creating a law that would make it possible to limit the amount of money that he gets, he said, hell no. So what did he do? He took him to the Supreme Court. And he wasn't alone too. He brought his homies White and Bonham and Berger. And they all came in talking shit, talking about how it's against the constitutional rights of Americans. And it goes against their First Amendment rights to say that you can't give a limited amount of money to a political party in order to sway their decisions. They deemed that un-American. Oh yes, because there's nothing more un-American than taking advantage of people who are unable to defend themselves. Like done so many times today in our own Congress, in our Senate. But this was only the beginning. This is the court case that's put into the records that money is a form of speech. Those worthless pieces of paper that are burned if they're not correct by a 1/4 inch can be represented not just as legal tender anymore. No, it's much more than that now. Now it's speech. Now, this is where they get the term money talks. Because quite literally it does. And this was the detrimental court case that sealed our fates. Because before that, don't get me wrong, that the government has been corrupt for a long time. Don't get me wrong. But now it was going to be able to be corrupt, and there was nothing that we could do about it. Because as long as they had the money to back their bullshit opinions, they could enforce them. And that's pretty much what they did. Now, the final nail in the coffin came in 1978 in the First National Bank of Boston versus Belletti. Now, in this case, the First National Bank of Boston got mad because they were told that they had to limit their spending or cut out their spending on a certain tax reform in Congress. And of course, the banks want to keep taxes at their own rates, you know? They want to tax people however the fuck they want. So, they couldn't let that slide, so they had to think of a way in order to get themselves in there. Then they remembered in 1888, the court had ruled fucking companies to be single entities, and he used that in order to justify the personhood of a corporation. Now, let me just get this fucking straight. A corporation is not a person. A corporation doesn't have a family. A corporation doesn't have a conscience. A corporation doesn't even have a physical body that you can lock up if it does something wrong. A corporation is not a person. How has a corporation ever really paid for any of the harm that they've caused? Sure, small ones might become bankrupt because they can't pay the fees. Sure, but the big ones, they never fall. Can you imagine if McDonald's going bankrupt because the FDA found out that the beef that they use is not completely organic, that they use human growth hormone that can make people sick and die? You really think that kind of shit would ruin McDonald's? Hell no. They couldn't find them enough to ruin McDonald's. You think Goldman Sachs is going anywhere? Even after all the shit they pulled? Merrill Lynch, Freddie, all the shit they pulled? You think they're going somewhere? Hell no, they ain't going nowhere. Why? Because they still have the money to back their opinion. And policy is being changed all the fucking time. Man, you gotta keep your eyes open, bro. Keep your ears to the motherfucking walls, man, because there's constantly shit going on behind our backs that we don't even know about. But it changes this entire country's whole motives. It changes the drive of this country. We don't even know it because we're not in the driver's seat anymore. The people aren't driving this country anymore. It's the 1%. And the charts tell the whole fucking story. When you look at the charts and you see how the income gap has fucking exploded since the late 1970s. The 1% is making far more money than they ever did. But we aren't. We're not going anywhere. By those standards, if they're making more money and we're the ones that's making them more money, then we should be making more money too, because we should be getting a bigger piece of the pie, because now the pie is bigger. It's like, for example, if you had at one point a 4-piece pie, right? And the American people get 2 pieces and they get 2 pieces. That would seem fair, right? But what if the pie gets bigger? What if it becomes 8 pieces? But they still only give the people those 2 pieces. That leaves them with the other 6 pieces. And what if that pie gets bigger and becomes 16? And they keep giving the people 2 pieces. And now they get to keep 14 pieces. You see how that works? It may seem like everything is okay because we haven't went down. Because we haven't plummeted and started going back to using rocks and sticks as technology. So it may seem like everything is okay. But in reality, behind closed doors, the shit that we don't see, that's the real problem. Because back in the 50s and the 40s, the middle class could buy their own house, they could buy their own car, they could send their kids to college. That was the middle class. There's not many people in the world, in this country, that can say they can do that now. There's not many people in this country that say that they own their house, that can say that they own their car, that can say that they can send their kids to college and not worry about paying for it. That is a privilege reserved for a small amount of the population. And that's not the way that it's supposed to be, because there is plenty of money being made in this country, believe me. There's plenty. And yet, our average wages hasn't really changed, but our standard of living is constantly becoming more expensive. So do you see the problem in that? Do you see how these kind of policies create a lower class? They create poor people. And man, to them, this shit is all a game, and they in it to win it. They won't stop until they own everything. But we have to stop them, and the only way we can stop them is by first taking away their power. And that power is in their bullshit pieces of paper that everyone wake up and go to work 8 hours a day for. Because money is not fucking speech. Money is exactly what it is. Paper. And to think that because you have more pieces of paper that make your opinion more valid than someone else's is complete bullshit. So man, just wake the fuck up. This country isn't ours. Not anymore. So we have to take it back. And we have to do it with this. Because we ain't going to do it with this. We ain't going to beat them with this. No. Sorry. That ship's already fucking sailed. But we can't beat them with this. Because this country was set up knowing that the corrupt will one day gripe for power. And it gave us the responsibility to stop them. So what are you going to do to stop them? That's what I want to know. What are we going to do to stop them? Because you're not in this alone. We are all in this together. Whether we succeed or fail, we are still going to be citizens of the United States of America. So we have to decide. I'm Indigo Jones, and I'll talk to y'all later. Peace.